March 8th, 1942. No matter how slow this game seems to go, it still seems to be flying by me at a pace that I'm always behind in. So while I was hoping for a more quiet beginning to spring, even though we're not technically at spring yet, things are not proceeding that way. In the north here, static divisions, which have been quiet for all of winter, have begun to attack. This is not really that concerning. The only thing that really mattered around here has already been conquered by him. So this is just, we'll just play the time game and fall back as necessary. It's here west of Rezhev that is quickly becoming one of my main concerns. His attacks now have gone for 2 weeks in a row. They've both been successful, not that that's surprising, but it basically makes the Valdai Hills to the northwest of here a moot point, because if he breaks through here, then he'll just conquer the city of Kalinin eventually and make it to where all those units will have to proceed eastward anyways towards some new defensive line at some point in the future between Yaroslav and Moscow itself. To no one's surprise, though, the main attack for this week and the foreseeable future is in the Ryazan area. Here, a series of 3 attacks dislodges me from level 3 forts, pushes a good group of my rifle divisions back in disarray, and reveals a very interesting fact. Not only am I trying to figure out how to defend any city in this game, but I'm going to have to do it with a certain fox that has learned to fight in the snow. I'll admit I overlooked this while I was actually playing the turn. This is the first time I've noticed him on the field. I don't know what it costs for him to bring him over here. And it doesn't really change anything for me because I'm not having much success against his weaker generals. But it does prove to me that his main focal point is here in this area. But that doesn't mean that Stalingrad's not also a target. So as we move southward, looking at what he's accomplished down here this week, he moves up along towards my 45th Army, a series of 2 attacks. He's successful in both of them, pushing me back a little bit. Doesn't change much. Further to the south, he has moved completely into the gap of my lines. It's a bunch of small, weak, mechanized divisions, but I can't really do anything about it. So we'll be falling back further there towards either Astrakhan or Grozny. And this continues all the way down my lines to the Caucasus mountain range itself. There, the things in the far south along the Black Sea are really quiet for now. So I don't expect that to continue for much longer, but every week that I can get stronger in that area, I will allow myself to do just that. But all in all, as I began my turn, things definitely have changed a lot, but it's mostly business as usual on the ground. Me retreating and him moving forward and then fighting where he can. And now I just have to figure out how to make a few decisions to make it a little bit harder on him. Now, the first area of concern is with my Air Force. Nothing's going to really happen as of yet with anything offensive-wise due to the weather. I do have over 7,000 airplanes on the map, so eventually I'm going to have to use them in some manner. But for this week, it's a lot of reconnaissance. Mostly here around Tambov to see what he has in the depth of his lines, and further to the south to see if he's moving up towards Stalingrad due west of it. Another decision that I made that I'll admit is somewhat random. I read on the forums that in past patches you were able to put your fleet on a ferry hex. You're no longer able to do that, but the hope here is that it still has some disruption of his supplies. My only other option was to disband it for the 20,000 manpower. Yeah, but now I didn't want to do that. I'm sitting with 4.6 million men on the map. I could be in a better situation. I'd love to have this over 5 at this point in time. And with the summer that's ahead of me, I don't think that's ever going to happen. For now, though, this is giving me excess forces in the northern front. I think it's about 20 CV that will be moving to the map at some point in the next couple weeks. Probably destined to arrive at the Tambov area. Well, the other thing that I was able to accomplish this week is focusing on my AFVs. Those refits that I've been doing for the last several turns have finally made their way to the map. They are sitting in Stavka and ready to be kind of spread out across the map to areas of high interest. So basically, this begins the main point of the turn. Where do I send these 900 tanks? Well, I focus it on 3 locations, and to no one's surprise, it'll be Rezhev, Ryazan, and Stalingrad. All of them go here, and I do this before I even start making any movements on my turn, which is something I tend to mistakenly do after I do attacks. I'm bouncing into the meat of the turn, though, which is obviously being the ground war. We are still retreating here. There's no reason for me to fight over this lake, and I don't know what he's going to do with the tank corps, or the division rather, with the mechanized divisions. I assume roll around and then go south, but I mean, for all I know, he might go straight to the Caspian Sea and try moving up northward, which would be fine with me. In that sense, I can't see him getting much supplies up in that direction at this point of the year. Moving up to the Tambov area, the 10th Army is rather exhausted and has been tasked with a rather important job of holding the city itself. So these divisions have to retreat and get some little bit of refit time for themselves. I have 4 sitting that's been doing just this for the last month, so it's a pretty quick, even swap, and it will strengthen my lines at least until I see if he decides to move eastward at all in this area. But as I've discussed so far this turn, I do feel this is one of the most important parts of the front line. Yes, Tambov will remain a priority, especially as the battles start to curl towards Ryazan. For now, though, I'm too thin in this area, and with my best general being in charge of the 4th Shock Army of the city of Rezhev itself, I need to replace the 20th Army leader to try to get better die rolls, because if he breaks through here, then Kalinin falling quickly. The other issue I'm facing is the amount of manpower I actually have here, and the quickest way to alleviate that is to thin out the Valdai Hills. If he chooses to come at them, those 3 stack armies are great, but I need them down here. I'll also rail in a few divisions from other areas on the front to try to help out this situation. It's becoming a little bit untenable, and I'm a little bit worried with what it looks like when I do get my turn back. Sliding back eastward, south of Ryazan, the only area on the front line that I saw that I had an ability to where I might be able to do an assault is here on this motorized division. It works out. The cohesion penalty does hurt and always will, but I mean, I felt acceptable. I'm happy with the split on guns and tanks that were lost on either side. I'm always going to lose 1,000 plus more men in every battle, at least it feels that way. But it does get him to retreat. He falls back into level 2 forts, which is unfortunate because it would have been nice to squeeze in there and like maybe kind of surrounds him a little bit. But as usual, I'm unable to do that at this point in time. Instead, I'll just go back to the bird's eye perspective, what I was facing before my turn, and this is the retreat I chose to do. So in the south, obviously, we're falling back towards Grozny, where I'm curious what type of combat I can do there. The terrain does not favor me. But I do have that backup line sitting there ready for whenever combat reaches it.